Yep, I think that's a great question because a lot of people try and focus on the deal and not having a great lender relationship, which really is more impactful in my opinion than the deal itself. So I definitely love to win as much as I can with whatever that looks like.
Welcome, millionaires and future millionaires. You're listening to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast, a show where you'll hear the stories and interviews of everyday millionaires. We'll unveil their decisions, their strategies, and their portfolio allocation. Now to your host, Jace Mattinson.
Welcome to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast. This is episode number 330. Stace, 'tis the season. How are you doing?
Well, we had a great Thanksgiving. Super happy to see all of my family. That was a lot of fun and a lot of people. There are 6 kids in my family and there are 18 grandkids. So it is quite the party.
Yeah, and we've got Christmas lights up and we are rocking and rolling into the holidays. Can't wait for it. Super excited. I guess we just had Thanksgiving and the next holiday is Christmas here and then New Year's. And with that comes a lot of, some people refer to them as resolutions, but for me, I take a very different approach, or we take a very different approach in kind of goal setting. And I think a lot of our millionaires do too, actually. I don't think they necessarily use the format that I use or that we use, but it's something that has come up on the show from the very beginning. The millionaires are very intentional about the things that they strive to accomplish, and those are at the forefront of their minds. So I like to take the 8 Gardens of Life approach, and I've modified it a little bit, but learned some of this from a mentor in David Osborne. And so relationship, family, spiritual contribution, health, intellectual, personal growth, lifestyle, adventure, my tribe and social, business, personal finance, and then relationships. So set goals across those categories every year. And this is about the time that we start I've already started it, I should say, but we start kind of getting real in the weeds a little bit more with the intention that, we'll wrap up, kind of review 23 over the next couple weeks and get everything kind of wrapped up going into 24, so that it's not a play from behind, it's play from ahead type deal. I think a lot of people get caught by the new year. You get in the middle of holidays and everything that goes on around Christmas, and you get to the new year and you're like, oh shoot, I got to put some stuff together and try to get something. And then, typically what happens is 2 weeks into January, most of those things are out the window. So, but, I'm excited for 23 has been a phenomenal year. And, man, I couldn't be more excited for 24 though.
What are you so excited about for 24? Now I'm intrigued.
I mean, we've got the twins coming. We've got a lot of, I'm pumped. I mean, I got a lot of big goals to hit this next year. And, I think it's going to be a good one.
Oh, good. I'm glad there were no curveballs. I never know with Jace. He always has life very planned, but then every once in a while it's like, hey, I think we should buy this lot or something big that I haven't heard of. So I'm glad that we didn't hear something first live. But yes, I'm very excited about the new year. I agree in that I don't love New Year's resolutions because I feel like if you have a goal that you want to set, then do it now and take the steps now. There's not anything special about the new year. There's nothing special about every Monday. Do it tomorrow, do it today. That is typically my MO, but I do find that the end of the year is a nice time of reflection and to kind of look back and see how you've done and moving forward. I think for sure when I was younger and before kids, I was probably a lot more on top of my goals in terms of tallying exactly how many XYZ I accomplished, and certainly the throes of motherhood in the younger years kind of make that a little bit more challenging. But I definitely try to keep my life principles a North Star.
Awesome. Well, with that, if you'd like to be on the show, send us an email, millionairesunveiled@gmail.com. Always looking for new great guests. We've got several coming up here in the pipeline, and had a few recently write in that I think the audience is really going to like. I haven't recorded those episodes yet, but we'll begin here soon. And yeah, the schedule's open up for the new year, so we've got everything kind of lined out for 2024, and looking to fill some slots. So if you're interested, send us an email, millionairesunveiled@gmail.com. We'll get you scheduled and on the calendar. Also, if you haven't left us a review, please do so. Helps us continue to grow the show. If you get any value from this podcast, would love to get a little value back. Either iTunes or Spotify. Spotify continues to grow like crazy, and we are able to interact a little bit more on there too with our audience. So that's great. Today's guest, Farris, quite the story. Net worth of $19 million. Most of it's in real estate. It's got a little bit in cash. I will note, since our last guest, we had a few comments right in about his rolls at only 2.5. Farris at $19 million drives a Kia with 85,000 miles on it. He's a former tennis coach, actually a former college tennis player and tennis coach. And got involved in real estate and has scaled his portfolio pretty quickly. In fact, has 700 units now. And it's crazy story. He's an immigrant from Wales, which I guess some people probably are like, where's Wales? But it is not in the United States, and he does have a little bit of an accent. But cool story. Came here to play tennis and then stayed, and another crazy American dream success story that he's living out. So going to be a great episode today with Farris. All right, without any further delay, let's get into the episode with Farris. Farris, do you want to just give us a little about your background and what you're up to now?
Yeah, sure. So my background is all real estate related. My current portfolio consists of around 700 multifamily units in Northwest Indiana. And I'm going to stay in that track and just stay with multifamily.
Nice. And what is your net worth today?
Net worth today is around 19 million. So that's spread obviously between asset value and equity in those, which is about 17 million, cash in the bank, and then a couple websites.
Dang, this is crazy. So let's start at the beginning. How did you get into multifamily, and why did you select multifamily to begin with?
Yeah, it's a great question. So initially was a tennis coach, came out of college, played professional tennis for a year, didn't like to travel, got into tennis coaching. And the area I was coaching in, I wanted an investment, tried some stock options, wasn't really feeling those. So ended up looking around on Zillow and found a single family home that looked like it would rent for, a little over the 1% rule, however everyone says 1% rule. So ended up buying that for $100,000. And the resident who was moving in came to where I was coaching at, the tennis center, to drop off the first month's rent check. And I just remember staring at it for like a minute before I went back in, being like, wow, this is great. So ended up, from there trying to buy a duplex, a 4-unit, the smaller stuff, and just kind of scaled to where I am today.
And have you done all this with your own money, or have you gone out and raised money too?
Have not raised any money. It's all my own money. A couple of the larger properties, the 100 plus, I've split with a partner 50-50. But other than that, no, it's my own capital.
Wow. So how long did it take you to go? I mean, kind of walk us through the journey of going 1 to 2 to 4 to 100, 200, 800, or up to 700. I mean, how long did that take? And kind of walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. So at the end of 2017, let me get this right. I think it was the end of 2017 was when I bought a single family home and a duplex. So that year was just 3 units. The next year, I think I added 12. That was, again, small stuff, 4 units, couple single family homes, duplexes. Following year after that was a little over 20. So again, like slow growth, smaller stuff. That year was, then the next year was 2021. I ended up cash out refinancing a lot of those smaller properties that I had bought. So the duplexes, single family homes, and just started trying to buy a little bigger stuff. So a 14 unit, a 20 unit, 28 unit, 33, that kind of stuff. And then from there, again, the same thing, cashed out, refinanced those kind of mid-range buildings, the 28, the 30s, and rolled those up into 100 plus stuff. So kind of a slow progression from smaller size stuff to mid-size to larger, cashing out along the way.
Wow, this is pretty crazy. So at this point, you've got 700 units. Do you plan to keep acquiring, or are you kind of set for now?
No, for me personally, I think I love what I do and I love buying buildings, honestly. My long-term goal is 50,000 plus. I mean, we'll see if I hit it, but I'm planning to be 90 years old, still trying to conduct business. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. No, I love it. So when you started doing this, were you still working full time as a tennis coach, or kind of
Yeah.
walk
So
us through a
when I
little bit of that?
started buying real estate, I was still working as a tennis coach, and I worked for about 2.5 years into my real estate journey. So I had about 45-ish units when I decided to go full time on the real estate path.
Interesting. And when you were doing these smaller deals, I mean, was the plan always to start stacking and getting into larger deals, or did that just seem like a natural progression once you got to that point?
No, it honestly ended up being kind of a natural progression. My initial goal was to have like maybe 100 units by the age of 60 when I started. And it was just, hey, let me try and get enough to, supplement my job income or even like quit the job and just have the rental income coming in. But I think over time it's just been a progression of like, okay, what's the next step, So it so happened that I ended up getting into larger and larger stuff.
And these units that you've been buying, have you had to do any rehab to them, or raise rents, or forced appreciation in any way, shape, or form with increased revenues, or has it been mainly just the market taking off the last few years that you've been able to do a lot of cash out refis?
So I think it's three separate things. I think number one is, I used to do, and now I have a full team of brokers because we also broker deals. That's a separate company, but a lot of reach out direct to owner. So, I'm looking at 100, 200 plus deals on the front end to buy one, where the owner's just a little off on what the actual market price is. Number two, obviously the market did help in the last few years that it has gone up. Number three, I am looking for stuff where there is a value add component. I hate that word value add, but where there's room to raise rent, stuff like that. I'm not a heavy rehab guy, so I don't go in and plan on, $1 million, $2 million bucks of capex. I just leave the units as is, maybe put some vinyl flooring in, paint the units, and just where the rents are below market, basically.
Does the concentration of your portfolio at this point worry you at all? Do you plan on going other places, or do you keep investing in that same area you know it so well?
I know it so well, so I'd love to just continue to buy there. I know the market there is great. I know the demand for rentals is huge. It's very close to Chicago, so that always helps in terms of population. The market there has gotten very tight, and the larger deals are getting, in my opinion, way too pricey for what it is, the per door. So I'm definitely looking to go elsewhere. I'm buying a deal in Michigan right now. I'd love to do a deal in Wisconsin or Iowa too. I think those markets are great. Just the right one hasn't come across the table yet. But I'm definitely looking for anything 100 plus that works at this point. Yep.
Wow, what a journey. I was not expecting the number 700 when you answered that first question. And really, you've grown from 1 to over 700 in 6 years. That is absolutely wild. So you start this, you're a tennis coach, and obviously at some point you've switched over and you mentioned this brokerage. So talk us through that. Did you become an agent yourself to help assist with this? Kind of give us some more, let's get a little bit more granular here on that journey.
Yeah, so that was after 2.5 years. I had about 45 units. Went full time into real estate. I did have a real estate license prior to that, but I wasn't active. I wasn't using it. Actually met the co-founder of our commercial group, Tarek. Once I quit my tennis job, just by happen chance at the brokerage I put my license with, and he was like, "Hey, you call a lot of owners. If you don't have the capital to buy them or you don't want them, there's other people out there that would buy these deals." So he's like, "Why don't we call? And if there's something you don't want, why don't we just list it or find a buyer for it?" So that's what we started to do, was reach out to properties where maybe at the time I didn't have the capital, so I would have stopped calling. But we're like, "Hey, do you want to sell?" And they're like, "Yeah." And then we meet them and list the property. So we get a lot of business that way to start off with. And then from there, it just kind of went from, knowing a lot of buyers in that market, because we pretty much called everyone, and people are saying, "Hey, we're looking to buy too. So if you come across something, pass it our way." So from that, I think we've just commanded that market in terms of the, duplex to 30 unit trades, which is really supplemented. I take that cash and I put it into buying my own deals. But yeah, so at the time, that was about 2020 was when I fully started getting into the brokering side of business. And now, like, I basically have two separate companies, which is brokering larger buildings across the Midwest. Anything from a 2-unit in Northwest Indiana all the way up to, a couple hundred units we'll do in Iowa, Wisconsin, stuff like that. And then obviously just my portfolio of buying the multifamily too.
Wow, that's amazing. And how about the management side of this? I'm assuming you have a property management group you're working with, or are you doing, at
Yeah.
what point did you switch that over?
Yeah. So when I had about 120 units was when I hired my first maintenance guy. And I was still dealing with like the office myself, leasing, that sort of stuff, customer service. Hit 250. That was two maintenance guys and my director, who's still my director now. He handled more of the office. And at this point, I believe we're at 8 maintenance technicians, director, leasing specialist, and a couple people kind of back end office. So I grew my own property management company just to keep it all in house. It's way easier that way, way more cost effective. And realistically, with this many units, it's very tough to hand that off to a property management company for them to actually, not mess it up. So yeah, you got to keep it in house.
Wow, that's amazing.
So over the years, I guess really just been a few years, talk me through your mindset on liquidity and having cash available for deals. And as you've grown, is there kind of a ratio that you try to maintain at all?
I try and obviously maintain a better ratio now than I did before. Before I had like 8K in the bank, after I closed the deal, and I was meant to have like, $10,000 of tenant deposits on hand. I don't know whether I should say that, but it's basically in the red as I was trying to, get out of the whole W-2 grind and grow my portfolio. So, we're looking a little better than negative 2,000 right now. I keep the liquidity a little better, but I think just 1 month for me of realistically monthly expenditure is totally fine. So for me to operate the company is about 550. So if I have that on hand at all times, I feel pretty confident, especially when I would break even with all my expenses if I had like 210 vacant units, which realistically is never going to happen. So, I think around 500K is what I try and keep in the bank right now.
Have you increased your lifestyle at all as you've grown this?
No, I haven't at all. Actually, people make fun of my Kia, but I love my Kia. I think a Kia is a great car.
You're worth $20 million and you drive a Kia, man.
Yeah.
You got to go get on a commercial, bro. I love it.
Yeah. No, this Kia
You and
is
LeBron.
great. Yeah. Kia's great. I mean, I was living in a 200K condo for the longest time. I love condos. I have no need for a giant house, but yeah, no lifestyle creep with me. I just, for me, I don't know, the more rewarding thing and the thing I enjoy most is buying properties. So, I never got into this for my pool in the backyard kind of thing.
How many miles does that Kia have on it?
It's got like 85,000 now.
Are you going to upgrade the Kia?
I've been driving it to and from Dallas, man. It's a lot of miles.
Are you going to upgrade that Kia?
I don't know. I think I'm just going to buy another Kia Stinger in a couple of years.
Hey, the Kia Stinger is actually pretty slick, man. That's like,
it's not
I feel like that's a sports car.
It's comfy. It's reliable. It's everything I need.
Yeah. No, I love it. So, I mean, you mentioned 50,000 units at this point. I mean, is that mind-blowing a little bit given you're 700, or do you kind of have this planned out on paper to get there by the time you're, what did you say, 90?
Yeah, I kind of mapped it out kind of recently where if I like 1.15x the amount of units I buy every year, I can definitely hit 50,000 by like 70-ish. So we'll see if that actually works out. I mean, that's a large number to hit. And I'm going to have to be buying probably assets I don't want to buy in markets where I don't want to be. So, we'll see how it works out. But realistically, I'd love to get to that number. I think the largest ownership group in America is like MMA. They've got a little over 100,000. So obviously they're more of a REIT though. But yeah, I mean, it's doable.
Yeah, for sure. As you've grown this, one of the things that I think people probably don't realize is the lending gets very different when you go from these 1 to 4s to 10s and even these smaller middles to the massive ones. Walk us through kind of how your lender relationships have changed over the years and what you've done to kind of foster those.
Yep, I think that's a great question because a lot of people try and focus on the deal and not having a great lender relationship, which really is more impactful in my opinion than the deal itself. So initially, obviously, you're kind of scrambling to get loans. It's not easy. You're trying to reach out to some banks. You have no idea which bank is the best one to use. Maybe the terms aren't too favorable. I think over time, I've learned that, you really got to show a bank that you know what you're doing. Like always keep updating them every month. Send them a rent roll, send them a new lease, show them you've increased the rent. I put a personal packet together on myself, which is about a 40-page PowerPoint presentation For new banks, just on me, my background, real estate schedule, global cash flow, all that stuff. So I think introducing yourself in a very organized manner and showing, your resume almost to the bank is a great starting point for any new relationship. And then always meeting face to face. I think lenders really love to meet you, get lunch with you, know who they're trying to do business with. That always seems to make them feel a lot more comfortable than a quick phone call. Hey, can you do this deal for me? Yes, no. So that's kind of what I found. And I try to use the same banks as much as I can until they kind of get tapped out. But yeah, I think finding lenders, especially now with what's going on in this market with rates and stuff, is getting a lot harder. So I think it's just a lot about reaching out to people, a lot of meetings. And, if some people give you a no, I still get no's now, just keep pulling new banks. I think a no discourages people instead of they should be like, okay, I'm just going to call 20 more. Instead, they just think, well, if they said no, then everyone's going to say no. But that's just not the case.
I know how that goes.
Yeah.
Doing it right now.
Yeah.
It's funny how one says no and one says yes, right? It's mind blowing.
It's crazy how the terms change so differently, right, from each bank. And, usually you get discouraged, right? But now it's just even now it's crazy, right? The spreads on what banks will offer people.
It's crazy. I had a new request yesterday with a bank. I'm trying to do one of these deals. They came to me and said, after I gave them one of my bank statements, they're like, "Oh, okay, well, we're only going to do this now if you become a deposit customer with the." Like, oh my gosh, how many? You didn't tell me this a week ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like we're taking some people to lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And making a PowerPoint. I'll get the deck going.
Yeah. Yeah. Grab some lunch with them. Give them a PowerPoint. They'll love that.
Yeah. Tell us about this PowerPoint. Did you create it or did you end up outsourcing that? Or, you're a tennis coach. How'd you learn PowerPoint?
No, I had a friend finish off the PowerPoint stuff. I just kind of came up with the material. I'm really not tech savvy. But it's pretty straightforward. It's my background, where I grew up, what I did prior to coming to college, how I ended up in America, the reason behind what I do and why I do it, and my long-term goals and kind of what I want to do with the foundation to give back. Where my units are currently, how I manage those units, the companies I currently own, how those run. So I think, it's all that kind of stuff in the presentation that I send out to banks.
Where are you originally from?
Originally from Wales.
What brought you here?
College tennis, actually. Played for University of Illinois.
Wow. So when you came to America, did you plan on staying at all?
It's a great question. Honestly, when I arrived, probably not. I didn't think I'd end up being here. But I don't know. I just love the American culture a lot. I think, if you want to achieve some stuff in America, you can a lot more easier than Europe. And I like that about this country a lot.
And we all love your accent. So it was a perfect match.
I guess so. Yeah. People tell me Boston now, though.
They what?
People tell me that I'm from Boston. They think I'm from Boston.
I'm just proud of myself. I accidentally made a tennis pun in there when I said it was a perfect match.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
So was this on the radar at all? That you came here for tennis? Did you have dreams of making buku bucks, or did you kind of just stumble upon this?
No, I kind of just stumbled upon it, honestly. I never had aspirations to be a business owner or do anything grand in that kind of way. I was just, I wanted to play professional tennis. That was one of my main goals and reasons for coming here. And I was very competitive. But I just think that competitiveness transferred into business rather than sports at the end of the day.
I was going to say, it sounds like it's still there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely love to, win as much as I can with whatever that looks like.
Now, I don't know very much about immigrating to the U.S. Did you have any problems, or do you have any problems with lending in properties? Are you a citizen now? Does that matter? I'm really not sure.
Yeah, so I'm a citizen now, so that is not a problem. Initially, if you want to get a loan without a green card, you can't, but I was on a green card. So, yeah, green card, now I'm a citizen, so no issues at all.
So you really needed to have that job in order for you to have even acquired your first property then?
Yes, correct, yeah.
Awesome. And do you have a family? We haven't actually been through, how old are you? How old were you when you became a millionaire? And kind of fill us in on first million to going forward.
Yeah, so today I'm 29. I think probably the first million was around 20, 25, 26-ish. And just from there kind of grew to where I am now. Family wise, they're all back in the UK. My mother and father live back there, so currently no family here.
Awesome. And no spouse or children?
No children. I was married up until earlier this year. Just very amicable, very different people. So we ended up separating, but still on great terms.
Great.
Tell us about the foundation that you mentioned, immigrating here and kind of your mindset and things that you plan to do going forward.
Yeah, so in the long run, I'd love to start a foundation which is focused on adoptions to the U.S. I think there's a lot of people out there, especially children, who don't have a chance to succeed, but given that chance, would probably do very great things. So obviously, we can all say I'm doing good, but it was because I had a chance. And if I was in an impoverished country or third world country without that chance, where would I be? So I don't think that's very fair. So I want to try and get as many kids here, 1,000 plus would be great, adoptions wise, as possible. The adoption process is expensive, but I know families that would love to have an adopted child. So long term, that's one of my main goals and focuses, I think, is to give a lot of children opportunity to be successful here in America.
Awesome. You still play tennis?
Not really. Maybe like once a month, especially in Dallas with 110 degrees. Not even that. No chance. just walking outside is like a workout, man.
Let's not let Jace be bashful here. He's won a few tennis tournaments.
Oh, geez, honey. Don't even get into that. At that country club, man.
I think they're like 5 teams, but he's won twice.
They're at the country club. They don't count.
That's awesome. Clay court country club tournament?
I wish it was clay court. I actually have only played on one clay court in my life out in Eastern Europe. But
wow, okay.
Yeah, no, they're just hard courts. But one of these days, maybe as I've aged, I've stopped playing quite as much basketball and have gone over to country club sports like tennis and golf. Pickleball.
Where he's the youngest participant and has a chance.
Yeah.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, that's cool, man. So 50,000 units, you got this foundation. I mean, where else does Farris go from here, in terms of your lifestyle? I know you've got big dreams to get there. You're driving a Kia, man. I mean, what's still in the pipeline for you?
Still in the pipeline, obviously, I think for me, one day a big happy family would be great. That's one of my main goals too, as well. Like I said, I'm in the process of moving to Dallas. Eventually, when I pick a place here, settle down. I think, either here or maybe heard good things about Tennessee, South Carolina. I was thinking here until this heat hit me. So I don't know about that anymore. We'll see.
Just wait for a month.
yeah, wait for a month.
Then you'll experience the joys of Texas.
yeah. So no, I think just kind of picking a location where I can see myself settling down. Family, obviously, continue to grow the real estate portfolio as much as I can. Growing the business. I think that's something I love to do more than mainly anything else. And then when it's time, I think I want to start the foundation. But for me, those are the main goals. I don't have anything else grand planned, really.
Why did you decide to move away from the area that you've been investing in?
If you've ever been in Chicago in the wintertime, you'd know. I mean, that place sucks, man. Yeah, I guess just minus 10 once in a lifetime vortexes that happen apparently every year are just not fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't do another winter there, and I think I'm ready for a change and some better weather.
We talked a little bit about you used to be married. Can you just kind of walk us through? I mean, as you built this net worth, you hear in the media, especially I think the most recent with Jeff Bezos and the divorce. Some people, I think the old phrase is marriage is grand and divorce costs $100,000 or whatever. As you built this net worth, I mean, have a prenup. Kind of walk us through that. It's something we haven't touched on the show at all, I don't think.
Yeah, so there was no prenup in place when we got married. We were both very young. I think divorce looks a lot worse when you start getting lawyers involved because they're trying to get paid, so.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones that take it all, right?
Yeah, pretty much, exactly. I'm like, we could give half of this to lawyers or we could just figure it out right now. So, yeah.
That makes it easy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. No, I agree. But, I think I'm not trying to get married again without a prenup. So...
I was just about to ask at this point, I mean, is that kind of a non-negotiable for you to have a prenup in place?
It has to be, yeah. And I don't even know. Like, I would need like 10 lawyers to tell me this prenup is like ironclad solid before I would,
So spend the money on the lawyers on the next go round instead of on the breakup of this first one, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, let's wrap up with some rapid fire questions. What's the most expensive pair of shoes that you've purchased?
Oh man, I don't know, like $100 Johnson and Murphy shoes.
Maybe I should ask you what's the most expensive tennis racket that you purchased, or maybe you got them for free because I know you were top 400 on the ATP at one point.
Yeah, top 400. So yeah, they were free pretty much. Head tennis rackets probably like 150, 170 bucks. They're probably more now, like 200.
Yeah, no, the most recent racket I bought, I got in trouble for. It was like 250 bucks.
Wow, those prices went up.
Who'd you get in trouble by?
I'm just kidding.
I didn't even know you bought a $250 racket.
Exactly.
That's funny.
No, that's good. What's the most expensive meal out that you paid for?
Most expensive meal out? Probably a couple $100 at a nice steak restaurant, I guess. Maybe like $250.
Okay. What about the most expensive experience or trip that you've been on?
I think the most expensive trip is probably the one coming up here. I got an Alaskan cruise like the end of September. So we'll see how that goes. Never done a cruise before.
Did you pay for it already, or waiting to pay for it?
No, I paid for it. Yeah.
How much did that run you?
Like $5,000. 2 people, $5,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not terrible.
Not crazy. Yeah.
Nice. First cruise though, you said?
Yeah, unless you count like a Disney cruise when I was like 8 years old, which I'm going to count that.
You weren't paying for that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So.
Okay. Or what's an important lesson that you learned from childhood?
Important lesson I learned from childhood. I think that high school, if we're counting that as childhood, is great, but also there's a lot of gaps in what they do and don't teach you, and also from a time management perspective. So, for me, I think I want to homeschool my kids is one of the lessons.
Interesting. Okay. What's the most fun that you've had with money?
Most fun I've got to say buying a large complex, if that counts.
The most fun he's had is spending money to make more money.
Yeah, that's the most fun.
Yeah, look at the smile on this guy's face. I mean, he's loving it. He's loving it. Okay. Let's see here. What's the craziest thing you've ever done to earn money?
Craziest thing I've ever done. I was on Instacart and Uber Eats for about 4 months.
Was that while you were in college?
No, that was actually after I got done with the tennis job, and I was had 40 units. I thought I'd be pretty busy, but I wasn't busy. So I was Instacarting 12 hours a day. Yeah. During COVID too, people were paying $100 a few items. It was great. I was making $500 a day.
You were on the front line. You went to the store for people.
Line, yeah. I was out there shopping. Yeah.
In the middle of Chicago. Oh man, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Luck, skill, or hard work? How would you rank them?
Hard work, I would have to put at, I think, 40%. I think I'd have to give 45% to skill and then 15% to luck. Okay.
And any reason why?
Yeah, I think, initially as you build knowledge and try and learn things, hard work matters in the beginning, but then eventually skill and knowledge have to take over. The amount of physical work and effort you put in, just making a good decision can make you more money than 500 hours of hard work eventually, hopefully. So I think that's why skill will outrank hard work. And then also, everyone needs some luck and going to have different opportunities at different times. So I think staying opportunistic allows you to act on the luck you can have.
What's a closely held belief that you once had that you recently changed your mind on?
It's a tough question, man. Well, I did think I wanted warmer weather, but I think I've changed my mind.
There's a max. There's a max warmth that's ideal.
Exactly.
And in Texas, we like to exceed it just a little bit.
Yes.
For way too many days, but then October through April to beginning of May is great.
Yeah. So I think I've changed my view on. There is definitely a max temperature that I want to be in.
You went from freezing in Chicago in the winter to a middle of the summer in Texas. I'm gonna, and I know you didn't ask for this advice, but I'm gonna give you a little bit of it. What you got to do is spend your falls and or springs in Texas. Go take your winters down to Florida or maybe Central America, and then go pick somewhere north to have your summers, and you'll be set. And you've got enough flexibility to do so because you're single and you own a lot of real estate.
Yeah, I was thinking for the summers here, it seems like a lot of people do travel, so I might have to.
They do, which makes it nice. You get out of you leave July, August, or whatever in the heat and go take a vacation. And yeah, I mean, it's very common, and you got a great airport there to go wherever you want to do it. And then everybody comes back for school. I mean, it's very common.
On a positive note, we crank the AC. So people that are not from Texas, they're like, why is every building so freezing cold? And it's because we compensate.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome. What's the final piece of advice that you give to somebody who's just starting out?
I think the final piece in real estate or in business in general, or
anything.
Anything. I think the best piece of advice I can give someone is to be a sponge and to always ask questions to everybody and anybody. I think anyone you meet, you can always learn something from, no matter what that may be. And if you're the one, talking the most, you probably won't learn much. So try and ask as many questions as possible to as many people as possible.
Awesome. That's Farris with a net worth of $19 million or $19 million. It's probably rounding up right now. I don't know. You're around 20 million. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast with Jace Mattinson. For more stories, investment opportunities, and information, check out our website, millionairesunveiled.com. See you next time when you'll hear from another everyday millionaire.